I want to welcome you to Psychology B370 Social Psychology. And this is going to be a brief introduction to the course, the materials that are going to be involved with the course, and expectations of you as the student, as well as kind of what I will owe you as the instructor of this course. So my name is Dr. Joel T. Nadler. I have a PhD in Industrial Organizational Psychology, and formerly I was a full professor at another university. However, I have moved from academia into the private sector and now work as a senior consultant. And as a part of that, also still I had an interest in teaching, so I've been doing adjunct work for various universities, and I'm very happy and proud to be presenting this class to you. My email here at IU is listed here. I am very rigorous about checking my emails, but please allow 24 hours for emails to be returned. If you do not hear from me after emailing me in more than 24 hours, feel free to send a reminder. There will generally be a teaching assistant with this class. To get their details, office hours, and etc., I suggest that you check the syllabus. The required text is listed here. It's currently in its 11th edition, and this is the version that has been provided to the bookstore. I would strongly encourage you to get this text. It is required. Online classes are a lot about you setting your own pace and learning the material at your own speed, and a lot of the material is in this textbook. Having said that, this book is pretty much available through other sources, and you can also go to previous editions. I think it actually says 5th, that's a typo. I checked both the 10th and 9th editions, and both of them, for all intents and purposes, have very similar material. So I would please encourage you to get an either physical or electronic copy of this book and keep up with the readings as this course goes on. So there's three primary graded portions of this class. The first one is going to be exams. There are going to be 3 of these. They are non-cumulative, and there is no final exam. So about a third of the way into the semester will be exam 1, about another third will be exam 2, and at the end of the semester will be exam 3. These exams will be fully online and multiple choice. Sometimes they have a few extra questions. If that is the case, each exam is worth 40 points, and if you manage to score over 40 points, that's just a bonus question. So basically, you get an extra chance to get to 40 if there's an additional question. So please don't let that confuse you. If you see that there's 41 or 42 questions on a test, that means basically you can miss up to 2 questions and still get a full 40 on that test. The next thing to know about the tests is they are open book, open notes, but they're timed. So they will actually become available basically Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. of the week that the exam is assigned. And you will have until the end of day Sunday of that same week to complete the test. So basically the test will disappear and no longer be available at 11:59 that following Sunday. Again, check the syllabus. This is based on Eastern Standard Time within the United States. During that week, you can take the test anytime that you wish, but note that once you start it, you'll have 3 hours to complete the test. So please do not begin the test any later than 9 p.m. on Sunday if you want to have those full 3 hours to take the test. Additionally, the test is randomized, both the questions and the answers. And once you've completed a question, you will not be able to go back. So you have 3 hours, it's open book, open note, but you can't go back, and you'll only be presented with 1 question at a time. And once you start, the 3-hour clock begins. So you would not be able to leave and go back. So make sure before you decide to take the test that you have 3 uninterrupted hours, that you have everything ready for you to help you take that test. And it's my hope that you'll do very, very well on each one of these 3 exams. There is also going to be 4 writing assignments. The 4 writing assignments typically are 2 to 3 page papers, and they specifically allow you to go into more detail about topics that we're covering in the class. For each of these 4 assignments, they're very similar in formatting, and you'll see that if you go on to Canvas, you'll see a full example, not example, but a full go through of not only what's expected for each one. I also shared the grading rubrics. So once you're finished writing, you can basically open that grading rubric and kind of do a little self-grade. Did I cover everything that my instructor is looking for in a good paper? Again, generally speaking, if your paper is less than 2 pages, you probably haven't fully covered everything, because a part of these papers is you explaining psychological concepts from the course that we've gone through so far. in such a way that if you were teaching someone that had never encountered social psychology, they'd have a good understanding of it. So it's basically the first of each of these papers is describing the theory that is assigned. The second part of these papers is going to be you actually applying that theory critically to your own life, current events, and possibly even future behaviors and decisions. So make sure you don't submit a first draft. Revise the assignment before you submit it on Canvas. And each writing assignment is worth 30 points. And like I said, full instructions on these writing assignments are available on the Canvas shell for this class. The only other thing I'd really like to point out here is that, again, when one of these become available, it becomes available at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, and it's available for an entire week. And anytime during that week, you can submit a paper. Unlike the exams, if you submit something, have second thoughts, decide to revise it further, you can submit additional versions. I will grade the last one that was submitted by the due date. Finally, there's course discussions. There will be 5 of these throughout the semester. Again, each one will go live on a Monday morning and will stay available until late night on that following Sunday. For each discussion, you're going to have to post a parent post, or basically your response to the parent post or the prompt. So again, each one of these will give you an example of what you need to discuss. And that initial post is usually going to be 2 to 3 paragraphs, about 1 full page. Because again, most of these prompts are going to be asking you to define a psychological concept, kind of give enough explanation that your fellow students can learn from your understanding of it, and then you're going to probably apply it or discuss what your thoughts about it are. Once you've posted that initial post, you'll be able to see other people's initial posts. You'll need to follow up with at least 2 follow-up messages for you to be considered completing the group discussion. In other words, each group discussion is graded as a parent post and 2 follow-up posts. Those follow-up posts also need to be done by Sunday. So generally, I would suggest it's probably a good idea to try to do the initial post by no later than the middle of the week, maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday, allowing you plenty of time to go back and also do follow-up posts. You can definitely do more than 2 follow-up posts, and I strongly encourage that. But the 2 that you actually, the first 2 follow-up posts you put should be fairly detailed. In other words, they should be about a paragraph. If you're struggling with exactly what to write in a follow-up post, think of using this kind of a format. First, tell us what you're commenting on. Don't just say, hey, I liked your comment. Put it in your own words. So describe the concept or the comment that you're commenting on in your own words to where someone could read your follow-up post without having read the original post. Then make your comments about whether you agree with it, how it helped you learn, how it made you think of a different way, how you liked their example. Maybe talk about how their version or their perceptions give you other thoughts and share your other examples. So really use this as not just a, hey, that's a great idea, but really get into it a little bit more. And my hope and goal is that all of you will have a chance to read other people's posts and other people's follow-up posts, and that discussion will really foster a deeper understanding of each concept. There'll be approximately 5 discussions throughout the semester, and each one is also worth 20 points. So let's take a quick look at Canvas, and I just want to go over the main features. There's a lot of ways to navigate Canvas, and if you guys are familiar with course shells on Canvas or other online classes, you probably know more about this than me. So you can definitely click on discussions to go straight to discussions. Quizzes will take you straight to the exams. But for the most part, the way I've set this shell up is there's 3 main pages that you need to make sure that you go to regularly and navigate. The first one is Home. That's where you're going to find a link to the syllabus. You're going to see a course description. You're going to also find bios of both me and the teaching assistant. And you're also going to find some quick links if you actually have any technical questions or help. And this is where I'd like to also remind you that I am, without a question, and with the teaching assistant, who is a co-instructor, responsible for the content and what you're learning in this course. However, I am not in charge of the technical requirements. And if you have a technical issue, if something's glitching, that's usually not going to be something I can help you with. That's going to be something that ITS is going to have to help you with, or instructional support. So just remember that as well. Now, the next thing that I want you to look at is the actual modules, because this is where basically I have everything. So you could literally live on the modules link and never have to go anywhere else here. Because what I've done is, following the syllabus, I've set up each week's materials. So let's take a quick look here. At the very top, if you click on modules, you're going to see the syllabus and course schedule. If you click on that, it'll take you to the syllabus page, and we'll talk about that again in a second. But more importantly, for each week, you're going to find basically another module. And so we'll take a look at course materials for August 22nd through 26th and the readings for chapter 1. So this is where everything is going to be for that week. It's going to be where everything's assigned. It's also going to be where if there's any assignments. So let's just take a quick look at what's there. The first thing you're going to see is an introduction to class and chapter 1 with notes. These are going to be my slides. So they include embedded videos, they include pictures, they include kind of concepts, but I want you to look through these in two different ways. You can flip through these slides manually, just like you were looking through a slideshow, but I would also ask you to kind of scroll through where you can look at the notes page under each slide. That's because within those notes and a lot of these slides, I also go into detail of what I would do in a live class and kind of go through some of the examples that I would use. There will not necessarily be audio lectures. So ideally, for each week, you would read the chapter first. The next thing you would do is go through the slide chapter with notes. Those are my slides with the embedded videos and with my notes about the slides and my thoughts. You can also then go down to chapter 1 slides with notes. So that's another, so there's basically 2 slide decks for this particular module, both the introduction and then the slides with notes. You'll notice after the chapter 1 slide with notes, there's simply book slides. These are the actual slides provided by the book manufacturer for chapter 1. So there's not going to be embedded videos, there's not going to be notes, but if you kind of want just a brief overview of the chapter written by the people that wrote the book, I've provided these for you as well. And finally, the last actual piece of content for each of these is going to be the chapter 1 additional links. For chapter 2, there'll be chapter 2 additional links. This is basically just a Word document with 3 to 4 links to outside sources to maybe help you understand the concepts better. Sometimes they might be YouTube videos, sometimes they may be just web pages with a lot of information on them, and sometimes they might be an actual psychological experiment that is mirroring something we've talked about this in that particular chapter. These are optional, and I should also note that they were not created by me. So they are meant as a supplement, not necessarily a main source for your information. But they're definitely a different way that you can look at it, especially if you're having a particular problem with a concept. And finally, at the bottom of each one of these modules will be whatever is due that week, whether it's an exam, a discussion, in this case, an extra credit opportunity, or a written assignment. The way this class is set up, there's only ever one thing due a week. So it's either going to be an exam, a written assignment, or a discussion, but you'll never have more than one of those a week. And there's a few weeks where you don't have any of those. So again, just kind of look through as you go through from week to week. But this is where you're going to check in each week to see what's due, what the readings are, what chapter you should be reading, what slides you can look through, what additional links there are, and if there's any assignments. You can also just click on the syllabus, and that will also show you every single assignment in order and when it's due. And this is where you can kind of see it very quickly flows. So the first week, we just basically have the extra credit, introduce yourself to the class exercise, which is basically a discussion. The second week is discussion 1. Then we have exam 1 the third week. We have a writing assignment 1 the fourth week, discussion 2 on October 2nd, and onward. And again, each time it's here as well. Now, all of these are also within the modules. This is just another way to get to the same information. So once again, I want to just thank you for joining this class. Feel free to ask questions. If you do have questions about the class or the course, the first place to go is actually the discussions link, where there actually is an open questions forum. That's a great place to put questions because my answers can be seen by everyone. If you're having a more personal question or need something specific, you can always email me or the teaching assistant. And like I said, I really look forward to getting to know all of you a little bit better in this class. Thank you very much and welcome.